Of what we're gonna call, hey guys, Noble Struggle here with iTz LuCaS, bringing you the beginning of what we're gonna call, well, Noble Struggles board gaming. So what this is going to cover is what kind of board games you might be interested in, what variants of board games you might be interested in, and overall what will be your best starting off choice if you have not invested anything into it. So we're going to cover everything from, ignore my hillbilly light, this one fell off earlier. We're going to cover everything from X-Wing of Empire, X-Wing of Scum, X-Wing of CIS, I know it's not all the ships, but working on it, X-Wing of all the Rebels, and a little bit of Resistance, and, well, that's about it. I really don't have a Republic. So, X-Wing can get pretty darn huge with like the Ton 4, So, we're going to get into what is best to start with, Armada or X-Wing. Which is better, which is more costly, what's more fun to play. And also, something we're getting into is Warhammer 40k. It's pretty new and it's also extremely expensive. So unless you're really dedicated into board gaming, I wouldn't recommend it starting off just because of how much it costs. But if you want to find an easy way to play this, to just test the waters and see if you like the game, I would get a $20 video game on Steam called Tabletop Simulator. You can get the models, you can play the exact same way you would play on normal tabletop, but you would be able to do it in such a cheaper way to see if it's the army you want and the gameplay you want. I know so many people that when they start playing 40k, they really get into it, but the thing is they started with the wrong army. So like say they liked Necrons a lot more than they would like Space Marines. For me, I like Space Marines because they're just a solid unit with a lot of firepower and they can take a lot of damage. They're just overall like the model unit of 40k. And then we'll go into, for X-Wing, talking about would you rather be Rebels, CIS, Republic, which I don't have, LuCaS, Scum, or Empire and First Order, which shine the fancy light. So yeah, that's going to be one of our main topics of what do we want to get in first and what's really the best way to find out what army belongs to you. So if you want to see more of that, feel free to continue watching. Next we're going to go to our terrain intro. So another important bit when you're doing tabletop gaming, if you're doing it mainly with the miniatures, you're going to need something of substance. You're not just going to need board maps. You're not going to need just 2D playing fields. You're going to need terrain. Now what we're going to also cover is what kind of terrain is best suited. Now, like this HeroScape terrain that's now probably still extremely expensive, which is awesome to use. It's an awesome building of material, but it's costly. Or do you get into 3D printing? The initial start is pretty expensive, but afterwards, probably all this. Everything you see here, I probably printed for under about $5. Now, if you go ahead and go online and go onto like Games Workshop and such and find these exact models, you're paying like $15 for this alone. You're paying like $5 to $7 for this torrential alone, and you have a lot less customization. I haven't really painted a lot of these yet. This is the only thing I painted really, and it's this rhino here. It's not the best paint job. I actually printed it with something called PET. It's a bit heftier material, it's a bit hardy, but printing quality is ruined by it. But we'll be going over more of that too in the 3D printing and terrain video here to follow. This is just giving you a broad entry into what we're going into. So we got 3D printing, we got the expensive stuff. What's next? Well, everyone has a hobby shop where they have, you know, cut pieces of trees. Wow, my hand is farther away than it looks. Cut pieces of trees, whether it's small birch or actually some oak, I believe. Or you have some of this tree right here, which these are good, but I find that the scale is so offset with like 40k that it doesn't really, apologize about the random finger in the way, that it doesn't really fit the model well. So I like to print off my own trees. These are some bare 3D printed trees. These things are completely hollow. But the thing is, that means you can print off this in like 20 minutes to 30 minutes. The height is what takes the longest, in all honesty, but this thing being hollow, it is so nice to just put around here. Also, real quick about that, if you're having issues, if you don't have a lot of terrain, I don't want to turn this into a terrain video, but a whiteboard cover that you can get that's like a 6x4 that you can just cut it like your normal hardware, that you can cut at your normal, help me out here, like a Home Depot or Lowe's. That is amazing, because what you can do is you can do an expo marker around the certain barriers, so if there's any transgression, you can instantly solve that just by drawing it out in the very beginning, and it saves so much time on things if you don't have the resources. Necrons for Warhammer 40k, you can get like glow-in-the-dark filament. Can you see it? No, you can't. But they do glow in the dark, trust me. You just might have to use ultra UVs. So these are also completely hollow. These actually take about the same amount of time to print as those, and it's actually, these might actually be quicker because it's a generic square versus going around in oak layers. Also for Necrons, something that's interesting is, again, going to your normal hobby shop, is getting just random crystals. Crystals are awesome for Necrons for terrain. Now this is not all my terrain, but this is a good overview. Now something I have not built yet that I'm really looking forward to is these things called, well, these things from TT Combat. They're basically laser cutted wooden sculptures. You can buy them for extremely cheap. Like, I'm pretty sure, does it have it on here? No, it does not. So I basically bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, this is a hefty one. 8. So I bought 8 of these types of structures or scenarios for about $100. In all honesty, that's a lot of this right here. If you bought it from the Games Workshop by itself, that would be like $75 plus. But in all honesty, this was like $11 because they just laser print it. So on my terrain videos, we'll be showing you how efficient these are. So we got ruined. Oh, Jesus Christ. Don't show your dyslexia to YouTube. A ruined old building. We got an orc stronghold. We have a orc mech garage. So Sean plays orcs, by the way. I play Space Marines. And Eric plays Eldar, which is Harlequins 2. He likes to go the Harlequin route, but he's a little bit undecided. Orc mech shop, pretty cool. This guy was like only $5. It was awesome. Gothic ruined octopus. Yeah, ruined building. That's all you need to care about. And then you got an orc lookout. Wow, Jesus Christ, my dyslexia is going off the freaking wire. Anyway, this like $5. Dude, there's so many good things from TT Combat for your terrain. So if you're not sure what to put into it, you don't want to put the money in for a 3D printer, but you really want some high-end quality stuff, I would go with TT Combat for your starting bit. And the thing is, the more creative you get with this, the more fun it is. And the more fun you're having, I can guarantee it's going to be the more fun your friends will be having. So, I won't get more into this currently. This is about, oh, no, there's one more bit. Stay tuned. Alrighty, and we're back. So I had to put away some of the terrain pieces for the example of just showing you guys the final product of the last thing of terrain that I'm really familiar with. And that's taking a piece of random cardboard and kind of morphing it into your own kind of mountain range. It's a good way to block off areas and say, you know what, this is unattainable, unable to be used, or this is turned into a makeshift bridge, or, you know, kind of like a little... Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's professional. Professional would not use bingo chips for a waterfall, but gosh dang it, I'm working on being better. But so I'll also be showing you guys kind of what I'm learning. I'll be showing you as I'm learning the frustrations that you guys might go into, because every time I see videos about how to make pieces like this, one, they end up looking a hell of a lot better than what you're seeing here. Two, they do not show the frustration it takes to make these. And three, they don't show you the different options. Like, what if you didn't want to put the exact kind of foliage there, and what do you want to do a little bit different? So my channel is going to be more or less me tinkering, getting some feedback, finding out what you guys think is cool, finding out what I think is cool, and us coming together to make these a lot cooler than what they already are. Now, I mean, I'm pretty proud about the top part, the size a bit. The water, I know I could do better. What I did, what did I do there? I think I just put Elmer's glue on top of bingo chips. I just had it go down. I know there's like an after effect you can do on it. I just haven't learned that after effect. In my channel though, well, in our channel, Noble Struggle, we'll be learning how to do the after effect together, and hopefully not make it look horrendous. But without further ado, that's about it for this terrain. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into storage. A brief overview of what storage kind of capabilities look like. Alrighty, the last bit that I'm going to cover is about storage. How to store things, what is the most best way to store things so that your boxes don't get damaged over time due to weight. Like Tide of Iron, those boxes are just filled to the brim with extra things that they can just destroy the cardboard. Like, you know, the traditional Lord of the Rings risk game. This is seen as like the traditional Lord of the Rings game. It's seen its wear and tear throughout its time. But, or why is Scythe up here? Come on now. But as you also can see, by the way, we have plenty of games to talk about, discuss, and what is best, what's worse. If you're curious about this is Warhammer 40k. This is what I use for the storage when I'm not actually using the models themselves. Just some cotton and some seasonal welcome back to school items. Those are actually extremely helpful. As for X-Wing, we'll talk about how we store those, how you store the upgrade cards, how you store the individual bases, what's the best thing to 3D print to do your templates, and what's the best way to store all your individual people. So actually, I don't even have to open this up. So I mean, you got your pilot cards, you got your main slots there, you got your spin dials, you have your fancy bits, you have your quick target locks, you know, numbering systems, whatever you need in case it's a bigger battle. And honestly, this may look like it's expensive, but in total, it's about 30 to 40-ish bucks ish. Oh, and we'll be talking about Battlestar Galactica, this War of Mine, the board game, this guy, Ascension, Munchkins, Catan, Risk, Monopoly, Tide of Iron, if I can ever get Victorian to actually play it with me, gosh dang it. Definitely more Catan. Let's see, Imperial Assault, Lord of the Rings, Journey of Middle Earth. More Catan, more Risk, more Halo. And yeah, so that's spare scrap for making things with. But yeah, we'll be going over all of it, talking about what's the best storage. The black shelf you see here, you can get for a bundle like 70 bucks. And it can get you, I got 2 bundles actually. It can get you from about this cutoff over. It actually gives you a lot. So it's a lot of storage for 70 bucks. Now, storage for maps, I'm still not sure. This is how I store my maps. I don't like it because it goes into like a circle fashion, and then you have to use like L clamps to clamp it down to your table. I'm not a fan of that. it is its natural position, but laying it out on a table is not always an option. So I use these bicycle hooks to hold my maps up instead. If that works for you, then hey, there's an idea. Also, ignore the mess. Also, what we're going to be covering is 3D printing. What do I use? What filament do I use? And what settings do I usually calibrate it to? And what also websites are best to use as well to get your models off of if you're not a designer yourself. This about wraps up the whole intro of board gaming with iTz LuCaS. So we'll see you guys next week when we dive into more. We'll see you guys then.